Welcome back once again to No Fear Public Speaking. My name is Abraham Lavoie. I'm your instructor throughout this course. Now, today we're continuing in our talk about preparation, and we're preparing our notes. And I've said this several times. I don't want to overstate that something is critical or absolutely necessary, but here's one topic that is going to be very critical to the success of your public talk, and that is having a captivating introduction. So think for just a moment about every person you've ever met, every book you've ever started, every movie you've ever watched. First impressions make all the difference in the world. And such is the case with public speaking. If you're going to go into your next public talk with no fear and with confidence, one of the things that's going to give you that confidence and alleviate those fears is knowing that you have a great introduction to start out your talk. So a good introduction not only gives you a sense of confidence and alleviates some fears, but also it gives you credibility with your audience and sets the stage for the audience. If you can start out strong, then they're going to lean into you. If you start out weak, they're just going to groan inwardly and say, oh, I've got to sit through 30 minutes of this. So that's why having a captivating introduction is so important. So the first thing that leads to a good introduction is finding a unique story or fact about the topic that you're going to speak on that you can use in that introduction. So let me give you an example. I recently gave a talk that had to do with not knowing all the facts. So it's kind of like in the old Paul Harvey, The Rest of the Story, where you might know this, but you made some judgments, you made some decisions, and then you found out the real truth or the rest of the story, and you had to change your opinion. And so this is the story that I started that talk out with. You probably didn't see the story of Thomas Delgado just a few years ago in the news, but it was an interesting one. Thomas Delgado is a Spanish man, lived in Spain, and he had a very nice Audi car. Some circumstances happened where a teenager was involved with denting up this beautiful Audi. And so Mr. Delgado filed a lawsuit against the teenager's family to try to recover some money so that he could repair the damages to this nice Audi. Now, if I stop the story right there, you've probably formed an opinion about Mr. Delgado, about the teenager, about the car. You probably think, well, I know teenagers, they can be reckless and, they can easily dent people's cars. And, this guy seems to be probably an upstanding citizen. If he owns a nice Audi, he's probably earned it. He probably makes a good living. And so, yeah, I'd probably come down on the side of make the teenager's family pay for some of the damages to this man's nice car. But the rest of the story is this. This teenager was riding his bike down the side of the road when Mr. Delgado, who was driving his nice Audi too fast, came around the corner and struck the teenager on his bike, and in the process killed the teenager and dented his Audi. And then Mr. Delgado sued the teenager's family to recover damages to fix his car. Well, now that I've told you the rest of the story, you probably will change your judgment just a little bit. I would think no longer are you thinking you'd want Mr. Delgado to get money from the teenager's family. As a matter of fact, you'd probably want him to compensate them, because even though his car got dented, he killed this teenager with his reckless driving. Well, there's just a little story, but that was an introduction to this whole concept. Maybe you'd call it my objective, which was to get people to think about things that they've heard and made judgments about, but didn't hear the rest of the story or didn't hear all the facts, and in many cases then had to change their minds. So this is an illustration of the kind of thing that you want when you're writing an introduction. Something that will draw people in, perhaps a story that will draw them in, that will get them their attention, but that ultimately will point them towards your objective. Now, I think hopefully the audience that day went away very clear, at least from the introduction and hopefully from the rest of the talk, that the idea was don't be too quick to judge, because you may not have all the facts. You may have to change your mind if you pursue the rest of the story. So this is the kind of thing that you need to develop for a captivating introduction for your talk. Now, we're together composing this talk called The Formula for Writing a Hit Song, and I'm going to give that talk in the last session of this course. So here is my idea at this point. Maybe it'll change. We'll see as we go along. But this is my idea for an introduction to that talk. What do all these songs have in common? Don't Stop Believin' by Journey. I'm Yours by Jason Mraz. Hey Soul Sister by Train. Wherever You Will Go by The Calling. Can You Feel the Love Tonight by Elton John. Take Me Home Country Roads by John Denver. And dozens of others, With or Without You by U2. She Will Be Loved by Maroon 5. No Woman, No Cry by Bob Marley. Down Under by Men at Work. Africa by Toto. It's My Life by Bon Jovi. Poker Face by Lady Gaga. All of these songs follow the same 4-chord progression throughout the majority of the song. Could you have sung those songs and realized that? There is a formula to writing a hit song, and it starts with the fact that there's a chord progression of 4 chords that the majority of hit songs written throughout the last several decades have followed. So here's your assignment. If you're working on a talk that you're going to have to give here pretty soon, and that's why you're coming through this course, or if you've started some objective statements and maybe some fact gathering like we've talked about in the previous couple of sessions, and you've got some scratch notes, the next thing to do is start figuring out, how am I going to captivate the audience with a great introduction that either tells a story or give some kind of one of the unique facts that we talked about in the last session that will pique their attention and will contribute to the objective of my talk. So get to work on your introduction, and we'll see you in the next session.